Good morning, YouTube. Good morning, gamers. It's a Saturday morning. I don't work today, and we're getting back into the saddle of YouTube Reacts. And then I have Hades in the background, so new game. So love to see it. This video popped up for me. Why Employers Hate Gen Z by Damon Cassidy. Never heard of him before. Um, I kind of, I have a few feelings of how this video is gonna go. Um, but we'll wait and see. Um, we'll wait and see.
According to
But I'm starting back to get back into YouTube again, so I'll be up. I'll be uploading a few times a week. So subscribe for that. We always appreciate it, and as long as one person watches my videos, that's why we do it. Okay.
a
And if you're new, I talk a lot, so if that's not for you, then sorry.
survey of over 1,000 hiring managers, 74% consider Gen Z the most difficult generation in the workforce. And despite Gen Z becoming one of the most educated generations in history, nearly half of all managers purposely avoid hiring recent grads.
I understand that because I finished school last year in February for IT, and I was applying for five months or so before I landed a few jobs, and that's where I really started back doing YouTube junk last February, so 2024. Um, so it's difficult, but I think that's also like the job market right now, and ghost jobs being a thing as well. It's very hard to be hired on. My resume is pretty okay. It's nothing too crazy, but it's okay.
Raising the concern, will Gen Z ever be able to meet employers' demands? While each generation entering the workforce
We'll actually do 1.5. Hold on, playback 1.5.
has faced accusations of being lazy, entitled, or disloyal,
I mean, there's probably truth to it. I mean, my perspective is always, but I'm just making sure my audio's picking up. Okay, it is. I I've always, you know, when you go to a job, that's your responsibility, and it's your job to show up and do everything right, show up on time because that's the commitment you've taken.
the reality behind these labels is often far more complex. As the Harvard Business Review highlights, the US working age population is shrinking at a rate not seen since World War II. With 3 million fewer individuals and millennials, Gen Z's smaller population adds pressure to an already evolving workforce, highlighting the need to examine how the experiences and work habits of previous generations have shaped the modern economy.
Because I mean, also I feel like the Gen Z and the last generation before us, I don't fucking know, are less aren't gonna put up with shit as much. You know, they're able to walk away. They're not gonna go die for a fucking job, unlike some older folks.
The silent generation, born between 1928 and 1945, grew up in a time of profound uncertainty, shaped by the hardships of the Great Depression and the devastation of World War II. As adults, they helped rebuild a society restructured around the Cold War, fostering a mindset focused on working within the system rather than challenging it. Programs like the GI Bill expanded access to higher education, fostering a workforce that emphasized technical skills, discipline, and steady progression within corporate hierarchies. Their pay your dues mindset not only contributed to the post war economic recovery, but also bolstered labor unions, securing wages, better working conditions, and the benefits that defined middle.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's also um, people are trying to. I think job hopping is a lot bigger than it was probably 10 years ago, because it's. So I remember reading an article that showed on average people get more if they job hop. I can't remember how much on average, but it was more than what you normally get.
middle class stability. Despite these achievements, real wages have grown by only 0.7% over the last 50 years, accounting to a 18-cent increase as of February of 2022.
Holy fuck! Say that again.
The benefits that defined middle class stability. Despite these achievements, real wages have grown by only 0.7% over the last.
Startling fact that average real wages have grown only by 0.7% over the half a century beginning in 73 and 20. Oh my gosh. Wages has grown over this period by 18 cents. There's no question that 18 cents over half a century. Yeah, you could say that's stagnant.
Last 50 years, accounting to a 18-cent increase as of February of 2022. Where
Holy
today, Gen
fuck.
Z emerges as the most
Holy
pro-union
fuck.
generation in decades.
Well, yeah, because that's how you get protections and more benefits. I mean, that's just the way it goes.
Echoing the silent generation's fight for economic fairness, but leveraging digital platforms to amplify their calls for.
Listen, I've seen around like December time where YouTube starts fucking people over because, it's ad season. People go on Twitter and just complain, and usually their problems get fixed. Haven't had that yet, so.
Higher wages and equitable working conditions. Yet this approach draws criticism from older generations, often perceiving the demands as being entitled, lacking patience and sacrifice.
Well, I mean, can be entitled, but listen, man, when we're working into a system where we have to work to live, there are things to make it easier. And, isn't the goal of us having kids and improving in our world, for them to have it better than us, not to have it as difficult, you know?
Sacrifice that once defined the traditional labor movements. As the silent generation transitioned into leadership roles throughout the 70s and 80s, their emphasis on structure and discipline helped shape the professional environment and laid the groundwork for the modern workforce today. However, their loyalty-driven work culture frequently clashed with the ambitions of baby boomers, whose priorities reflected a very different set of societal and economic conditions. Baby boomers, born between 1946 and 1964, grew up in vastly different circumstances compared to their parents.
That's my grandma age. And my grandma's fucking insane, man. She's 78, still like against my wishes, because me and my wife live with her just to save some monies, because we're newlyweds and such. Economy's hard out here. Um, Dude, she's fucking crazy. She still insists on doing her own fucking yard work, and does it before I get home from work. Crazy. She's insane. She's a badass.
Early boomers, raised by the greatest generation, inherited values of sacrifice and hard work, but rejected the materialism and conformity of their upbringing. By the 1960s and 70s, they led a cultural shift challenging the organization man mindset that prioritized loyalty to employers over personal fulfillment, an attitude echoed by Gen Z today.
Uh, I mean, he's there's
Although later boomers, influenced by their silent generation parents, lean more towards stability and working within the system.
yeah, because like as I mentioned, my grandma and my papa, they both were teachers for their whole working careers. So I mean, I think that stability meant a lot to them. Well, it means a lot to my grandma because my pop's no longer with us. Bless up, but you know.
Economic challenges in the
But
1980s.
like my dad, he has swapped his career 3 or 4 times, and they're still like in a fairly good spot. My mom is like 1 or 2 times, um, but they're in a fairly good spot.
Including high inflation, soaring interest rates, and stagnant wages.
Yeah, don't look up inflation. Don't look up money inflation. don't look.
Blur these distinctions, resulting in boomers averaging 10 jobs by the age
I'm trying to figure out maybe which thought should be like inside thoughts and what what shouldn't be for the funny, but I don't know.
of 34, practically switching jobs every year from 18 to 24, far surpassing millennials and Gen Z at the same age. Similarly, despite being framed as disloyal, 70% of Gen Z workers cite salary competitiveness as the driving force behind frequent job change.
Well, I mean that's what I see nowadays, right? Being unironically competitive. Could you see a job that says, "Oh, we give competitive wages," but it's like minimum wage and like a fucking cheeseburger?
Reflecting a shared focus on financial security in a time of economic instability. And the shift towards short-term employment relationships weakened the emphasis on long-term career paths. Simultaneously, globalization and outsourcing emerged as a dominant cost-cutting strategy, further eroding traditional career ladders. Companies increasingly scaled back long-term training programs, prioritizing cost efficiency and flexibility.
Yeah, I mean, I think I don't know, man. I think the middle class would improve if, well, I mean, if corporations actually cared about people, but they don't. They care about monies and profits. But you start caring about the singular person, then things, people will put up with a lot more shit. Like I like my job now, and I'll put up with a lot of shit. And I don't get paid the best, but I'll put up with a lot of shit, and but it's a job that also has to be done.
Overemployee development. leaving Generation X to navigate an environment shaped by fragmentation, heightened competition, and the growing demand for adaptability. Generation X, born between 1965 and 1980,
Adaptability is a good Pokemon ability, by the way. Look it up.
grew up amid rising divorce rates and dual income households, earning them the label latchkey kids. Societal
I heard, well, this is just a side thought because me and my wife were dinks right now, dual income with no kids. So but we also don't make a lot. So we're doing what we can.
shocks like the Challenger disaster, economic crisis, and political failures eroded their trust within institutions, reinforcing their focus on resilience and adaptability. While Gen Z is often criticized for seeking jobs that align with personal meaning, it was actually Gen X that first initiated this cultural shift. According to developmental psychologist Jeffrey Jensen Arnett, Gen Xers began prioritizing identity-driven careers in the 1990s tech boom, favoring roles that aligned with their passions and values over financial.
I mean, being able to love what you do for work makes everything a lot easier. You know, you're not gonna 100% love a job all the time, but doing stuff that you're passionate about definitely makes things easier.
Stability. Their pivotal contributions to emerging industries like technology and e-commerce, including their roles in the personal computing revolution and the rise of Silicon Valley, reshaped the global economy and set the stage for today's purpose-driven labor market. This shift also led to a greater demand for flexibility, with 50% of Gen Xers favoring remote work, surpassing both boomers.
Listen, man, if I could work from home, if only I could work from home.
And Gen Z. However, their loyalty to employers was entirely conditional, based on if their personal and professional needs were met, setting the foundation for the transactional nature of today's modern workforce. And by demanding both purpose and flexibility in their careers, Gen X reshaped workplace norms, paving the way for millennials to further amplify these trends. And before we break down the historical implications of the millennial generation,
Like right now, I know I can't work with like my passion, right? Well, because I mean, I like work in like administrative like food service, you know. So I mean, there's only so much passion to be done, you know. But I don't know. I'm just.
I am actively pushing and trying to get professors, politicians, economists, journalists, and CEOs on the channel to help us break down some of these issues. If this video is providing any value to you and you would like to support the channel, I would greatly appreciate it if you like the video and subscribe if you haven't already done so.
I will like the video, Mr. Boss, because this is a good video so far. It's very well made. I am a big fan.
It truly does help when reaching out to these
I
guys.
fucks with the background though. This is nice.
Thank you all so much for your support.
I always watch the ads, you know. Always watch the ads. You gotta support your content creators, even if it's 2 fucking ads in a row. Holy. Shroud telling me about box.
Millennials, born between 1981 and 1996, came of age during a period of rapid technological advancement and economic instability, with the Great Recession profoundly shaping their
Can't afford lobbyists. I am the.
entry into adulthood. Raised by baby boomer and Gen X parents who emphasized structured parenting and achievement, millennials experienced highly organized childhoods filled with extracurricular activities and positive reinforcement. By 2008, they were the most educated generation in history, with 70% pursuing higher education by the age of 25. Yet many graduated into a devastated job market, burdened with record student debt and underemployment. Nearly half
Yeah, I'm lucky to not have any student loan debt. I'm very blessed.
accepted jobs unrelated to their degrees, delaying wealth accumulation and home ownership, resulting in millennials to reshape their approach to work, rejecting rigid hierarchies and their traditional pay your dues mindset. They prioritize flexibility, collaboration, and roles that aligned with personal values. Their team-oriented outlook, shaped by early exposure to social media and their structured childhoods, fostered innovation, but often clashed with the hierarchical preferences of older generations.
It's always me. I need a job. I have multiple degrees. Take it.
Leading to perceptions of entitlement until
I understand the entitlement part, but I mean, it's ironic because my grandma says she says the same shit. This generation so fucking, your generation is so all about me, nothing about other people. But you know, I guess there's a reason why.
none other than Gen Z emerged into the workforce. Generation Z, born between 1997 and 2012, entered adulthood in a labor market fundamentally transformed by systemic change and economic upheaval. Growing up immersed in social media, Gen Z has been exposed to curated success stories that amplify expectations for achievement.
I mean, I guess that's true. I mean, comparison can be a killer of self-confidence and self-worth. So I mean, I try not to. I was just talking with a buddy last night, and he was talking to me about when are we going to do our high school reunion because we haven't heard nothing. And he's like, man, I just want to see how badly everyone else failed or how badly we failed and where we're at in life. You know, that's kind of what I told him. Like, you know, comparison can be a killer, unfortunately. And so usually life is better if you don't.
while fueling anxiety about failure. Unlike previous generations, much of their understanding of workplace norms comes from fragmented online narratives rather than direct mentorship, leading to aspirations that often clash with labor market realities.
True, and social media will always just see the best and never will always see the good and not the bad.
Entry level positions, once a stepping stone into professional life, now frequently require 3 to 5 years of experience, with 38
Yeah, I mean, I have most of my workplace experience has been in food service, and just now am I offered a lead position at a spot. Not even a supervisor, not management, not a manager, supervisor. So I mean, yikes.
88.4% of these roles, including such demands. Rising higher education costs and diminished vocational training have further narrowed pathways, leaving many Gen Z candidates burdened with debt and unprepared for the skills employers require. Federal investment in workplace development has also
That's I mean, and it's also kids, being put out at 18 saying, you know, go to college. You got to accumulate all the student loan debt without really understanding what that means and how much that can fuck you. And that's the argument I don't understand because like I see like the like forgiveness of student loans. And to a certain extent I agree that you're an adult, you got to be responsible, but I feel like there's also people that don't have any guidance, that don't know what they're doing. Um where stuff like that should be forgiven, it'd be a lot more easy on people's mental that way than having all this debt grow around them and eat them.
plummeted, falling from $69 billion when adjusted for inflation under the Comprehensive Employment and Training Act in 1979 to just $20 billion today, resulting in the societal expectation that Gen Z will just have the necessary skill sets when emerging into the workforce, when in all reality, all of the traditional avenues in obtaining those
I mean, I wish there was other things that schools taught as well regarding that. I mean, this is just like a side tangent, but like taxes, it's tax season right now, dude. I wish I fucking learned how to do that shit in school.
is practically impossible to come by. And unfortunately, the 2020 global crisis exacerbated these challenges. Remote education and work environments deprive Gen Z of
I hated. I mean, I did good in 2020. It was my senior year of high school. Man, hated it though. I fucking hated it.
opportunities to develop essential soft skills, such as communication, collaboration, and conflict resolution. Relying heavily on digital communication, many now struggle with the nuanced interpersonal dynamics required in professional settings. Higher
Oh yeah, no, this part I'm a very personable guy, but I'm really all about when I'm working. It's mostly I'm here to make my money and go. That's about it. That could be cruel or whatever, but here to make my money and I'm gonna go. Um, but I understand how to be professional. I understand how to act in a professional work environment. I know how to dress appropriately. A lot of people my age don't. But I think that's also my upbringing, and my dad is a very like formal guy. All about business. So this part I get it. Um,
hiring managers
and now that I'm a lead for where I work, uh, I recently did some night shift trainings. The day shift is it's a bunch of older folks, but they're fucking. There's a Mean Girls club, bro. There's a Mean Girls club, and people want to stab each other in the back and all that shit. But nighttime, it's like a bunch of fucking kids and like college students. One of them, like, dude, the other day he calls me. Hey, when do I come in? One, you should have a picture of your fucking schedule, buddy. Two, you come in at this time. Okay. 30 minutes after he's nowhere to be fucking found, we call him. It's like, oh, my bad. I fell asleep. Come on, man.
have criticized their
But, it's his first job, but we also have to fucking baby him at the same time.
perceived inability to adapt to workplace expectations or engage in meaningful collaboration, where intergenerational mentorship has also declined, with 1 in 5 Gen Z workers reporting no conversations with colleagues over the age of 50 in the last year alone.
Wait,
and these factors have
huh? 1 in 5 Gen Zers haven't had a single conversation with someone. Workplace life. Dude, all my supervisors are like over the age of 50,
no conversations
except
with
like
colleagues
one,
over the age of
and that's
50
like, yeah, that's like I think
in the
there's one that,
last year alone.
but
And these
one's
factors have left
pushing
Gen
it.
Z frankly ill-equipped to meet the growing demands of a labor market that offers fewer pathways for growth.
Oh, more ads. I love ads. I think I fuck with the Hades in the background because it's more. There's always something happening.
And ironically, for those that do have the ability to communicate, dress professionally, show up on time, all the things that employers actually are wanting,
Me.
well, that frankly no longer has any importance on a resume. It isn't the keywords that'll get you promoted on the LinkedIn
Yeah, no, it's not. Unfortunately.
platform, and likely isn't even something that a third-party recruiter or interviewer will even ask for. And with the hiring process increasingly being outsourced,
I mean, it fucking sucks 'cause it feels like you have to have everything and anything and everything under the sun to get a job. Um, I mean, at my job right now, we're like 7 people short, but we're still not allowed to hire right now for some fucking reason. It's ridiculous, and I don't understand it.
to third-party recruiters and automated systems.
Because like we had an interview of a person the other day, and but we will have to call them back and say, hey, no, we can't hire you. Because I guess the place is going through like a restructuring again.
Only 39% of hiring teams have actually received formal interview training. And this reliance on automated systems further just
I mean, this is
exacerbates the issue, as 75% of applications are excluded before ever being reviewed by a human.
yeah. I mean, technology is as you know. I'm always a Papa Gut simp, but technology is displacing jobs and driving down wages. That could be a really big one for a lot of the problems we have right now.
With 78%,
Because like this should be a normal person's fucking job, not a robot. Because these are people's fucking livelihoods. Have the fucking balls to do it yourself, not have a fucking computer do it. Come on, man.
of hiring managers just predicting that AI will replace entry-level jobs altogether. Now, unlike
Or, hear me out. Don't be a corrupt corporation. I know, but those things go fucking hand in hand. Maybe just how about you refuse? I appreciate the human workforce. But it doesn't matter because it's going to be cheaper anyway.
unlike hiring managers, employers, and recruiters that have just done everything in their power to give Gen Z the ability to thrive in the workforce and are unfortunately just having to resort to not hiring any recent grads for 2025 because Gen Z in the entirety is just the worst generation to work with. Well, we now have the ability to understand the cultural, societal, and
Yeah, I mean, because like there's like the people my age that I work with, like people think I'm like 28. I'm 22 at my workplace. Like people think I'm super fucking old just my demeanor. I hold myself in high regard at my job. But I mean, the people my age don't even act like that, except like another person that's in like the same position I am, or two guys that are in like the same position I am, being in like a lead position.
historical implications that have led us to this point. What I really wanted to get to the point of here is I wanted to show that all throughout history, patterns continuously repeat themselves. We point fingers at
Yep. History doesn't repeat itself. History has patterns. That's the big one.
every emerging generation because, frankly, it is the easiest thing to do. To hear them
Sure,
talk
it's
about
easy to say no, it's your fault, and point fingers rather than doing the work and figuring out what the actual problem is.
the work environment is not fair, that wages need to be better, that this and this and this and this. Well,
Well, I mean, those things can also be true.
one that makes you feel like, well, I mean, why didn't I talk about it? Yeah, it does kind of suck, but I've been dealing with it, so you should too. But it also makes
Listen, if listen, if I had to take a bunch of punishment, I don't know, if I had to get my arm cut off for 10 people to not get their arm cut off, then 10 people I know. I don't know. I'm trying to think like I would like if it caused pain to me for other people not to go through it, I go through it, You think people would be better and want better for others, but I mean if you don't, I guess I don't know.
makes you think, these silly people, they don't even know how hard it used to be. Well, in reality, yeah, that's kind of the point of society. That's why you have kids. That's why you work, is to
Yeah,
make it get a little bit easier.
it's all. Listen, I didn't fucking pre-watch it. I said this shit earlier.
To have technological advancements make things a little bit more convenient. But the reality is there's always going to be challenges. There's always going to be things that people are going through, and their perspective on that is going to seem severe to them, so you have to come at them with compassion. But as a society, we don't have any idea on how to do that. So again,
Yeah, no. Unfortunately, compassion is a hard thing to find. I try to be compassionate in my everyday life. Have compassion for my fellow man. Um, but it's difficult. It's difficult. You can bring a horse to water, but you can't expect it to drink.
it's easier to place blame. So why do employers dislike Gen Z? It's easy. Now, if you want to get to some of the actual critiques, yeah, Gen Z don't have the ability to effectively communicate in the workforce. Okay, so what do we
Sure. Um, where can we solve the problem if they don't know how to speak or they don't know how to like speak properly? School. Um, People are required to take a course on how to act appropriately in a professional work environment. Maybe so. Uh, no.
do about it? Yeah, let's just not hire any recent grads.
Well, they're gonna have a real fucking hard time when all your old fucks die.
What does that do? Does that help anybody? Will they now be able to
No, it don't. Unfortunately,
have the communication skills needed in 2026? No. It makes absolutely no sense to me. What you do is you create an environment with respect on both sides and start doing some training.
yeah, and that's respect is a big one. That's where it's make or break for a lot of people. It's like I'm respected at my job, and because respect, I give it out to other people. Um, I'm in charge of people that are double my age, and so it's like a very daunting thing. Um, so it's difficult, but it's I you know golden rule. Treat others the way you want to be treated. You're not better than anybody else, and everybody else isn't better than you. We're all equal here.
Training, doing some managing, doing some mentorship to instruct, hey, this is how you communicate. Yeah, I know that you like to do this, but this is how we're going to do it. Find a middle ground. Listen to what it is that they're actually trying to say. And I am not just trying to say Gen Z are victims or anything like that. I'm trying to do a
No, but I mean, it's hard to fix problems that people already have in their heads. You know, I mean, proving them wrong. That's what I had to do. You know,
fair approach to say that what is happening is absolutely just ludicrous. The fact
dude, Ludacris. What a pop star. What a singer.
that for the past century, each generation is just doing this, saying, hey, maybe we should have better wages, a better work environment, a blah, 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 blah. And then the generation is, you're lazy, you're entitled, you're not loyal.
Well, listen, man. You bought your house for fucking $300 and a fucking funnel cake. I gotta sell my left fucking nut and two of my arms.
If back in my day, so this just continuously happens for all eternity. Now, what is happening over here? Well, it's the very thing that you're arguing about. It's wages, it's fulfillment in the work environment, it's collaboration, it's you name it. So what is happening? Has wages gotten better?
No.
Anything in the work culture gotten better
No, it has not.
in the last century? Well, there's definitely, if you really nitpick, you're going to find something. But the reality is that what if instead of us arguing, we focused?
And that's where I think society is looking, at least right now in America, realizing, oh, maybe billion are bad. Maybe this is the strategy to keep all of us fighting each other, to not realize the actual problem.
On the issue. But nope, them dang Gen Zers.
It's all their
Now, I
fucking
will
fault.
say, I just turned 25, so I am a Gen Zer. Impossible for me not to have some bias, but I will say, some of the worst people I've worked with were Gen Z. Now, was that because they were Gen Z? Or was that because they just didn't fit in the culture that we had? Was that just
I think that's the biggest thing, that they just don't they don't fit what their what their job role is. I know people that like my other leads, they're guys my age and they're in school and so on and so forth. Um but a lot of them are like college kids that are just working part time. So I mean, why would they really care for what they're doing? They're just trying to make money,
just
or
because
they're just
I
trying to stay afloat while they're in college. Sorry.
didn't have the patience to actually listen to what they were saying. There's so many other components. I will also say some of the most frustrating people that I've ever worked with were Gen Xers or millennials that just I couldn't understand.
Yeah, stuck in their own ways. Yep.
So what is the common similarity among these? It's me. I am the one that needs to be making the decisions on how I handle these interactions. If
Sure. I mean, the only thing you can control is yourself.
you are a hiring manager, an employer, a recruiter, you're responsible
Yeah, you just have to do everything in your power to be seen and to be heard in a positive way, not a negative way.
ability is to find the best candidate. So if people are coming in that are not effective, it's your fault. It's not the generation's fault. Again, placing blame. It doesn't do anything effective. What I want to just also highlight, because I think it's interesting,
Yeah, I mean, placing blame, but I mean, what I said still remains true. You should do what you can to seen and heard in a positive way.
is when you look at boomers, we think of boomers. In reality, there was multiple different types of boomers based on their parents, which then slowly trickled down to other components. Now, I just turned 25. My parents are the oldest Gen X, the youngest boomers, and their parents were the silent generation. When I look at myself, this analysis gave me so much clarification because the way that I was raised and the way that I hold myself in the workforce is of efficiency, is of discipline, of hard work, of impact.
Hey, preach, brother. Me too.
Impacting the providing value to my surroundings. That is all it is that I want to do. That is the same across the board with my closest friends. Now, when I look at some of those outside friends, some acquaintances that are a little bit younger, the Gen X parents, they very much prioritize work-life balance. No big deal. That's totally fine.
Yeah, but we can't fucking afford it. Uh, you know, whatever.
It's different than the way that I operate my life. Then when I look at the younger Gen Z, raised by millennials, they are very much prioritizing emotional well-being and all these other components. Again,
Which you should. It's good to not want to fucking kill yourself every day.
not saying anything different. But when we paint each generation as Gen Z, Gen X, millennials, blah, 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 you're missing so many components rich with other information. We are living in a society that is being plagued by convenience and the inability as a society to have any discussion. We want to blame Gen Zs.
Yeah, I mean, this technology displacing jobs and driving down wages is a real thing, and it's going to bite us in the ass very soon. Uh, AI is already starting to replace jobs, and then like the federal cuts for everything for fucking orange man. No, it's crazy.
For the inability to be able to communicate in the workforce, hey, as a society, we have no ability to communicate. That's just facts. You will see that even after this video, in the comment section below will be, yeah, Gen Zs are still lazy.
Let's see. Let's sort by newest first. Education, educated, indoctrinated. You mean the state of USA education is a woke, show. If you say woke unironically, dude, oh my god, you need help. To be honest, as a Gen Z that worked as an electrician in 3 different states, I haven't had any serious problems finding a job or two. No, yeah, I think because you're also in a trade. Trades are really important, and trades are very hard to replace. Um, Nor have I had a problem with enough money to support myself. None of those jobs resulting from beforehand. So get a trade job in the area that's growing. Work for me. Yeah, dude, getting trades are fucking insane. For this video, I don't even know about gens. Okay, that's if you create for-profit businesses paying for what you consider fair wages, go ahead, prove it. Mandatory minimum wage is asinine, childish minds think that money is made in thin air when wages go up by. What a coincidence! I don't know, bro. Oh my god, yeah, I ain't fucking reading all that. Holy shit! They said the same thing about Gen X. What a wonderful experience. We're in a sub. Sometimes loyalty is okay if your company is in cynical profit orders. True. That is the truth. I might be biased, but I feel like Gen X and Gen Alpha relationships will not be so volatile. Will become back in my day fallacy. Fuck is no loyalty. Not anybody loyal to a damn company. True. Was this made with AI fostering fostering, leveraging, highlighting. Etc. Okay, you just seem kind of fucking stupid because he has a good vocabulary. Jesus Christ, they're mad that they don't want us to be slaves in a corporation that doesn't. That's the realest fucking comment in this whole fucking thread, bro. Holy fuck. They're just like, corporate greed's never gonna end. That's why wages suck. That's also true.
I guarantee you're going to see one of those. Or, yeah, boomers still suck. It's going to happen. Nothing we're going to do about it. But what we can do is we can focus on ourselves and how we're going to handle each situation.
And you see that he's not giving blame either. He's like, all right, what can we do to solve the problem? Not, hey, here's a finger to point.
And I do apologize that this stigma also happens to the boomers and the Gen X's that are getting fired and no longer able to get hired by somebody else because the recruiters, the employers, the hiring managers get to dictate whatever it is that they want to do. And
yeah, I mean, that's also just giving power to someone that shouldn't be in a position of it, unfortunately.
all we do is we focus on this. Imagine if we focused on the issue.
Listen, I mean, this is. See? Not blame, just say, hey, here's the actual problem.
Anywho, I hope this video was able to provide some value. I thought that this is the path we needed to pursue this conversation. I think
Of course, I think was an amazing video. I think it was lovely. They were cheering lack of loyalty from employers who treat all the, yeah. I mean, my boss said something the other day about, because we have these huddles sometimes, and because bullying is a big part of our day shift, because there's a fucking mean girl called whatever. Said you are not irreplaceable, and I think he was mad, but I don't think he should have said that. I think that really put a damper on people. I didn't realize that entitlement was expecting my master's degree to land me a job and able to survive. Yep. Bro, fuck you, buddy. That's entitlement. You don't get shit. Let's see. Carrot and stick only works. In fact, the carrot is on the other end. Yep. Saying that a 45-hour work week of skilled work, bachelor's degree needs to come through. Then yes, I'm incredibly entitled. What? Yeah, I mean, it seems like just asking for a livable wage to start a family, so on and so forth. The American dream seems to be just very hard. The old folks hate a young man who respects himself. Yeah, that's what I see. You got to know when to fight back a little bit.
It's really interesting that we don't talk about the interconnected dynamics of generations more, and
because that's not the problem at hand.
Yeah, the audacity for me to say what life was like for boomers and for Gen X. If I got some of it wrong, I'm definitely sorry. Please let me know in the comment section below. The reality, I'm just having to read through so many different articles, so many different newspapers, magazines, just spending so much time studying because, well, frankly, it's hard to communicate with other generations.
Yeah, I mean, that is the truth because it's hard to have an open and honest conversation with some of these folks, If they're not like your direct family or close acquaintances, it's hard to have those connections,
But I hope that I was able to provide some value. Thank you all so much for your time. Let's just keep moving forward. Let's keep doing the best that we can. Until next.
Is this still him? That's crazy. Oh, I like the fucking cut, bro. You look nice. Good video. Go to him, dude. He's got some good fucking shit. Oh my god. Well, that's today's video. See you gamers later. Ooh, 40 minutes.